What's up everyone, welcome back to ARTV. My name is John and it's time for another top 10 countdown. Today we're deviating just a bit from the normal favorite songs from insert band here and going for the top 10 worst band names of all time. Now, when looking at a band, it can often be something that's your first impression of them, because maybe you're on a streaming service, maybe you're out shopping for music at your local record store, and you see a name and you think to yourself, that's either really cool, really intriguing, or oh my god, that's off-putting. The off-putting ones are sometimes done intentionally, but it also doesn't excuse the fact that they are horrible band names. And today, I'm going to be counting down what are, in my opinion, the 10 worst band names of all time. They range in genres and also decades when they originated and if they're still going now, because some of them actually are. Without further ado, let's just get to this top 10 countdown. If you enjoy the video today, then please drop a like on it and subscribe for the love of music. Do the bad names go hand in hand with bad quality? Not always, but I'll make sure to let you know along the way what I truly think. Why not start things off with an infestation, am I right? At number 10, we have Papa Roach, a nu metal and hard rock but other styles over the years band that have been known by their name. They're kind of associated with a certain type of scene. Papa Roach originated in the 1990s and they took their name from Jacoby Shaddix, the lead member of this band, and his grandfather, Howard William Roach, whose nickname was none other than Papa Roach. What a sweet sentiment, right? You want to pay homage to your grandfather somehow, keep that memory alive, and his nickname was Papa Roach, which can be endearing, but that seems like a family thing, perhaps an inside joke, and this is a multi-platinum selling band who sound like they should be on an extermination ad. The name Papa Roach sounds like it could be one of two different possibilities. One, Papa Roach, the leader of a clan of roaches, and number two, Papa Roach, a middle-aged stoner with an "Only God Can Judge Me" tattoo somewhere embroidered on his body, and also a chain attached to his wallet hanging out of his baggy pants. Perhaps he stowed away so many roaches, his marijuana smoking device, everywhere, and he did it so often and frequently that his friends just started calling him lovingly Papa Roach. I don't outright hate Papa Roach by any means, but the name of the band, it's just one of those things where you look at it and you have to roll your eyes and say, what were they thinking? Before we go any further, let me give you an opportunity to cleanse your ears of all of these bad band names by checking out our sponsor, WoHome. You guys may remember WoHome as a previous sponsor of this channel, but you might not know about their new S11 Bluetooth soundbar model that's now available for a discounted price by using my Amazon link in the description. The S11 model has a rich sound featuring 2x3-inch subwoofers and speakers of the same size to match. With a decibel output of up to 105 dB, this speaker is perfect for your living room TV or even a party, which is what I've been using it for. Okay, I lied. It's a single-person dance party and no one's invited but me. To put a cherry on top, this 2.1 channel soundbar pumps out a crystal clear sound for your listening pleasure, and it even supports aux, RCA, USB, optical, and coaxial inputs, so there's really endless possibilities outside of Bluetooth for how you can connect your music. Hit that top link in the description or the pinned comment down below to purchase the S11 model on Amazon, and if you use my link for a limited time, there will be an on-screen coupon on the Amazon page for an additional $12 off, which, to put it simply, means you're getting an awesome quality soundbar for less than $80, and you're also helping support ARTV in the process. Number 9, the Goo Goo Dolls. This band has been active since the mid-1980s, and I think of Goo Goo Dolls and I think of perhaps a childhood toy or something very childish or just silly. Perhaps someone talking to their lover like, "Oh, hey there, my little Goo Goo Doll." I don't think about a rock band or a pop rock band, at least I probably shouldn't. The name origin of Goo Goo Dolls dates back to a True Detective toy ad from the 1980s. Lead member Johnny Rzeznik, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, stated in a 1999 interview with Rolling Stone that they had a short amount of time to come up with a band name so that they could play their first live show. Thus, the Goo Goo Dolls were born, and the rest is history for better or for worse. Look, I would probably have this higher up on the list just because of how ridiculous it sounds if it weren't for the fact that the band were self-aware about this being a bad name. They don't think that they have the most ingenious band name ever. In fact, they've stated in many interviews that if they could change it at this point, they probably would if they had a time machine. It's a similar situation to somebody that I'd give an honorable mention to, the Foo Fighters. They're aware that it's an awful name, but it doesn't really impact their mission of what they're trying to do as a band. And even though I wouldn't consider myself that much of a Goo Goo Dolls fan, they definitely have great songs. I mean, Iris, one of the greatest pop rock tracks of the 1990s, and just because that name is so off-putting in a way and something that's kind of a detractor, it really doesn't matter all that much, but it's still an awful name, so that's why it landed a spot at number 9. For my number 8 pick, I had to go with the French easycore and pop-punk band Chunk No Captain Chunk. When you think of a title like that, if you don't get it, again, it feels like you're being excluded from some sort of inside joke within the band. Now, if you've actually seen the movie The Goonies, like most of us probably have, the movie that came out in the mid-1980s, then you'll understand the reference, but also probably cringe a little bit in the process because they actually decided to go with this as the band name. I don't entirely know why, but something just screams, oh my god, these guys again, when you hear their band name out loud. Chunk No Captain Chunk kind of were a big part of the easycore movement. They were signed to Fearless Records in the United States. They had that big song, In Friends We Trust, which I don't entirely outright hate or dislike, but still, when you think of their music, you just kind of get this bro-y vibe, like a bunch of sweaty dudes in tank tops in a circle pit at Warped Tour elbowing each other and being like, oh yeah, bro, this is our jam. And honestly, the band name, it didn't do them any favors in terms of being taken seriously. It's going to be hard to keep a straight face for this one, but at number 7, we have DIARRHEA Planet, a garage rock and punk band from Nashville, Tennessee. This is a band that when I hear that name, for years I just found it so repulsive. Like, I don't want to get anywhere near that. I just think DIARRHEA Planet, and I'm like the song from when I played baseball that everyone would scream, and everyone's like, if you're climbing up the ladder and you hear something splatter, diarrhea, well, that's what I associated this band with. According to an in-depth interview with Vice surrounding their name, they chose something intentionally obnoxious and off-putting as sort of a troll to the aspiring commercial singer-songwriters surrounding them at their college of choice, Belmont University. Let's cut the cheese here. DIARRHEA Planet is one of the most awful and disgusting band names of all time. Not only does it make you want to puke when you hear it, it's also pretty hard to spell, which is a double whammy against you when you're trying to gain new fans in a digital era. After a decade of diarrhea, the Planet members decided that the band had run its course, and I think a lot of people didn't give them a chance during that time. In fact, I only really discovered them once I caught part of their set at Warped Tour, I believe, in 2018, and they weren't bad at all, so go show them some love. It's one of those cases where the music was actually really good, but the fact that they wanted that off-putting name, I think it hurt them in the long run. I would say deservedly so. The number 6 spot goes to the Scottish band Dogs Die in Hot Cars. When I hear that name, I think of a poor little puppy trapped in the grocery store parking lot while its dumbass owner went inside and left the windows rolled up. Like I want to think about a dog dying in a hot car while I listen to your style of indie music that doesn't sound like that at all. I don't want to think about those poor puppies. Think of the puppies. The band name straight up sounds depressing as hell, and it doesn't match their genre or style at all. I don't know why, but I guess if someone had to be named that, I would picture a heavier band, like some bald dude screaming into the mic, like, "What's up, everyone? We're Dogs Die in Hot Cars, and we're ready to rock." After listening through the band's only full-length album that was ever officially released, Please Describe Yourself, I'm feeling a bit torn on actually hating the band's name. while it definitely is awful and downright cruel sounding, I would say, it also, in a very strange way, kinda suits the oddball style of indie rock that they were playing. The band scored 3 top 50 hits in the UK, with their single God Hopping hitting number 24, so the band most definitely saw some commercial success. Dogs Die in Hot Cars never did release a proper follow-up, and they eventually disbanded in 2009. I guess you could say that the band shriveled up and died inside of a hot car. Wow, that was absolutely terrible. I'm so sorry. While several Christian rock bands were challenging for a spot on this list,
Excuse me, John, did you even give consideration to the Skillet fans?
yes, that included consideration for Skillet and their Panhead fans, but I ultimately had to give the spot to 1,000 Foot Krutch once I learned the true meaning of this absolutely abhorrent band name. Thanks to my good friend the rock critic, my eyes were open to the fact that 1,000 Foot Krutch is supposed to be a Christian metaphor. Even when our problems stack 1,000 feet high, God is the 1,000 Foot Krutch that we can lean on. Do you see this face? Do you see me trying to hide the cringe? Oh my good God. No pun intended on that one. 1,000 Foot Krutch. So you're up here with just one. It's not even 1,000 foot crutches. You've got one crutch. How exactly does that work? You're up there with God in the clouds and you're just somehow pogoing this shit and you're bouncing around trying to get over the hurdles and problems of life? I understand the sentiment, and as a Christian myself, I can absolutely put the nail in the coffin here and say that is one of the most ludicrous and absurd things that I've ever seen. The stretch is real, just like the 1,000 foot metaphor, and their music is not much better to match. I've heard all of their albums. Trust me, I grew up in Christian school, so I've of course heard all of their albums, especially the early stuff. And if I have to ever hear Rock Fist again in my life, something that I thought was good when I was like 12 years old, I might just end it with the 1,000 Foot Krutch straight through the heart. Look, I know an easy target when it's presented to me, and yes, ICP are one of those, but it doesn't stop it from being an absolutely terrible and laughable band name. Insane Clown Posse were formed in 1989, with the 2 original remaining members being Violent J and Shaggy 2 Dope. Their lyrical content and overall image has terrified some for decades, but the real atrocity here is the duo's name. It's widely known that several of the members were involved in gang activity that led to jail sentences for some in the late 1980s. They were originally known as a street gang with the same initials ICP, although it originally stood for Inner City Posse. Maybe I have more in common with ICP than I originally thought. My channel name now, of course, is ARTV. That used to stand for Album Review TV, which of course was my gang affiliation at the time. Now it just stands for, well, it stands for nothing. Insane Clown Posse was inspired by one of the members allegedly seeing a clown running around their city, and since they wanted to stick with ICP as their acronym, thus the Insane Clown Posse was born. From there, it's been a wild ride of juggalos, joker cards, and apparently a metric shit ton of hidden messages about God that the band snuck in. It seems like a movement, and the people are happy enough. As long as the juggalos aren't being violent, let them be themselves. But the band, I just feel like it's kind of a brainwashing mechanism that I've never understood why people gravitated towards. Number 3, the Butthole Surfers. This punk rock and experimental band have been active on and off since 1981. It's been quite some time since they put out a studio album, but it's clear that from the start, they never gave a shit at all about commercial viability or the fact that their name not only hurt their reputation, but it also hurt them from getting like gigs and touring and really just being plastered anywhere. The story behind their name is rather funny, and the group started out by changing their moniker with every concert that they played. That made them harder to find and follow, but they had a 1984 song called Butthole Surfers. One fateful night, a man introducing the band mistakenly referred to them as Butthole Surfers, and apparently they liked it so much, they decided to keep it. Look, I get it if they dicked around for a few shows and they thought it was funny, but this sounds like a joke that a 14-year-old messing around with a drum kit in their parents' basement would come up with. Now, almost 40 years have passed, and these dudes in their 60s, yes, in their 60s, are still known as the Butthole Surfers. I guess that's great if they can own it, but I feel that this is the equivalent of getting a face tattoo when you're 20, and then at age 60 or 80 or whatever, you're having to deal with all of the judgmental stares from everyone in the nursing home. When they were asked if they had ever considered changing the name or if they would go back in time and rename the band if they could, guitarist and founding member Paul Leary went on record in the 1990s to state that he would name them "I'm Going to Shit in Your Mother's Vagina." Well, I guess that sounds like about everything that you need to know right there. They're a landmark band in terms of weirdness. I'm not going to try and discredit that or take that away from them, but they're also, a lot of the time, too weird for me personally, and that band name, I mean, come on, it sounds like you're riding a wave of poop. Number 2, Limp Bizkit. Love them or hate them, can we all just agree that the band name is probably the worst part of Limp Bizkit? I mean, think about it. When you hear that name, you immediately have some sort of reaction. For most, it's probably an
"Oh my god, I haven't heard that band name in years, why would you bring them up?"
type reaction, but to be fair and balanced, it probably kickstarts some monster energy-fueled hearts out there that reminds a lad of when they were young and impressionable and wild and wanting to break stuff. Outside of the band's incredibly tacky name, you've got a band of ragtag rowdy bros ready to throw down against the haters anytime, anywhere. Fred Durst, the unavoidable leader of the band, leads the charge with his whack brand of rap rock that has failed to ever impress me vocally on any level. I've listened to way more Limp Bizkit than any sane man ever should in his day, but I'll have to admit that Wes Borland is a pretty damn good guitarist. It's just a shame that he's in the wrong band, and also the band Limp Bizkit, which happened to have the number 2 worst band name of all time on my list. Sweet mother of pearl, it's the beloved 2000s rock band HOOBASTANK at number 1. Say it ain't so, say it ain't so. How could I be so wrong, right? I mean, these guys are pretty much universally loved for their music and acclaimed for their ingenious band name, right? Wait, no, I'm thinking of, not HOOBASTANK. Doug Robb, a man with 2 first names, is the leader of this band, and the question I'm sure we're all wondering is, how the hell did they pick that name? Out of everything in existence, out of every random band name generator ever, you expected us to take you seriously with that? The craziest part of this whole ordeal is that HOOBASTANK were actually really different early on compared to what they morphed into later on in their career after their breakthrough hit The Reason. I'm not gonna say that they were ever great, but I got my fair share of enjoyment from Crawling in the Dark and whatever other songs they stuffed into the ATV versus MX Unleashed songs in the early 2000s soundtracks. HOOBASTANK have consistently trolled reporters and publications regarding the origin of the name, with everything from a gas station in Germany to hopscotch to someone with a shoe fetish all being served up as supposed answers to that lingering question. By now, most have all but forgotten everything about the group except for, of course, their name. So it goes to show you what's really in a name, the power that it is. HOOBASTANK giveth and HOOBASTANK taketh away, which lands them at the number 1 worst band name of all time. If you take the K out of the end of their name, it turns it into HOOBASTAN. So can somebody please start a Stan account devoted to just loving every single move that any member of HOOBASTANK actually make? Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I appreciate you tuning in to my choices for the top 10 worst band names of all time. Of course, there are some honorable mentions in the description down below. Go check those out. If you would like to see a part 2 in the future, then feel free to let me know. I might try and make that happen. But other than that, please drop a like on this video, subscribe to the channel, and of course, share it out. Thank you again to Wohome for sponsoring this video with their S11 soundbar. Click the top link in the description to pick one up for yourself. If you would like to see another top 10 countdown, then tap here or tap over here for another recent video I made on the channel. Socials in the description, and I'll see you soon for more on ARTV.